vessels, that the exceeding greatness of the power may be of God and not from ourselves. So the Amplified described treasure as being the divine light of the gospel in earthen vessels, which is our frail frame. We have to keep our earthen vessel healthy, because without health, we really cannot do what God wants us to do. If you're always feeling sick and not up to it, you definitely cannot go out there and tell others about Christ, because you're always going to be probably in the doctor's office or laying down somewhere. So this theme ties into our presentation. This earthen frame that God gives us to be the light carrying the gospel around has to be healthy. 3 John 1:2 said, "Dear friends, I pray that you enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well." Good health is central to handling stress and living a long and active life. And we can get a healthy diet, exercise, screening for diseases, and coping strategies can all enhance your health. The best way to maintain health is to preserve it through a healthful lifestyle rather than waiting until we're sick to put things right. So, maintaining good health is important for a long life and for healthy living. Our next slide is, let's look at some of the causes of weight gain and obesity. First, let's describe obesity. Obesity is the medical term for being overweight. A measurement called the body mass index is used to determine obesity in adults. Obesity is caused by an interaction between a genetic predisposition and an obesity conducive environment. So if you I like to watch Billy Graham classics crusades like in the 70s. It's always amazed me when I watch those classic videos, because everybody in those videos, they're always so thin. And it's amazing to see, like, between the 60s, the 70s, and now between the past 40 to 60 years, that obesity has gone up at such an alarming rate. And this is because we are living in what is called an obesity conducive environment. More than half of the population has a lock that will open with our current environment. Most weight gain occurs due to eating more calories than you burn. As a result, the extra calories are stored as fat. Now we're going to look at the BMI chart. So the BMI chart is a tool that is used by healthcare providers to let each of us know what our health is based on the body mass index. So what it does, it looks at your height, and then it looks at your weight, and then it assigns a number. And the number that you want to be in is normal, which is 18.5 to 25. So you can look, because it's in color. So the color is green, overweight is yellow, and then the pinkish is obese. So if you look for your weight at the top, your height at the top, and then look at what your weight is, then it will assign a number. And if you're over 25, then you're going to go into overweight. And if you're over 30, then you're in obesity category. And that you can download that just by putting in body mass index. If you want to keep one for yourself at home, you can get a copy of that anywhere. Even your doctor will give you a copy if you ask them. So having looked at obesity and overweight, we're going to look now at how diabetes ties into this disease. Obesity and diabetes, I call them twin sisters. They walk together. It's very rare that you will see an obese person who is not diabetic, or somebody who is even at the high end of the overweight category in the body mass index. So let us look at diabetes. It is a disease that affects the way how your body uses energy. It prevents the body from using all or some of the glucose for energy. So glucose is the primary source of energy that the body uses. So glucose comes from most of the foods that we eat. It's all your starches, your carbohydrate foods. Milk has carbohydrate. Of course, all your fruits and vegetables. Vegetables, though, have a lower amount of calories compared to like even fruits. Even though fruit is healthy for people who are diabetics, fruit is a problem because it can raise your blood sugar. Diabetes occur when your body is not able to produce enough insulin or cannot use the insulin it produces. So one of the things that being overweight or being obese does is that it prevents your body from using the insulin that it produces. And then you go into a condition called impaired glucose tolerance. So you're making insulin, but it's not using it effectively because of the excess fat. Insulin transport glucose from the bloodstream into the cells for energy. So if you talk to most diabetics, they'll tell you that they always feel tired because they waste their energy because it goes in, stays in the bloodstream, and then the only way it can get out of the body is through the kidneys. So your kidneys start working. So diabetics will tell you that they're always urinating because that's how the body is trying to get rid of the excess sugar out of the blood when you have developed diabetes. And sometimes some people start losing weight because they don't have that energy. According to the American Diabetes Association, I'm going to share some statistics with you. As of 2012, 29.1 million Americans, or 9.3% of the population, has diabetes. 8.1 million Americans are considered undiagnosed. So there's about over 8 million people walking around with diabetes and do not know that they have diabetes. It was the seventh leading cause of death in the US in 2010. Let's look at how this disease affects your body. It affects how the body uses energy. We talked about that before. It affects the cardiovascular system. It can you go back? Oh, thank you. It affects kidney functions. So a lot of diabetics end up with kidney failure and on dialysis. It contributes to nerve damage, leading to blindness and limb amputation. And it increases the occurrence of depression and is also associated with dementia. So one of the ways how it causes depression, because it is so hard to treat, you will find that people are very, very depressed. They're worried about it because it affects every aspect of your life. If you go out for dinner, if you have your friends, you have to watch what you eat. If you are on insulin, you're not quite sure what's going to happen if you go out. So people have a really difficult time managing diabetes because of all the extra care that it causes. You have to go to the doctor more often. It's just difficult. So one of the things we want always to do is you can turn this disease around. You can make it better, and that's what we want people to know. Next slide, we're going to look at what are the links between obesity and diabetes, and what are current research data telling us. We know that the number of people in the US, the rate of diabetes has increased significantly between 1990 and 2000. And you remember earlier I talked about when people used to be thinner. And with the explosion of obesity in the 1990s and 2000, also saw an explosion in the occurrence of diabetes. Obesity affect how your body can use energy, because most obese people tend to be more sedentary. So that's one of the side effects of being obese. People don't have energy to move around, and just that increase an impairment in how your body break down the fat, and it increased the risk of developing diabetes. And not only diabetes, it's also high cholesterol and high lipids. And it also increases like arthritis and knee pains, and it causes a lot of physical inactivity. So the links are genetics. We know there's a genetic link to diabetes. I can talk about that because my family has diabetes on my mother's side, and it has ravaged my family, even the younger generation. So we know it definitely has a genetic component. But we also, not because it's genetic, that does not mean you should be diabetic. It's about how you the foods you eat and the decisions that you make about your health. It also has the environment. We talk about an environment that is conducive to diabetes. With this also economics. There are people who can't afford healthier foods. So you find people who are at the lower spectrum of the economy tend to buy foods that are not as healthy as if they had money. So they buy less fruits, they buy less vegetables if they live in the urban areas of cities. They don't have access to supermarkets or places where they can get healthier food. Physical inactivity, we just talk about that. If you're really obese and overweight, you do not want to move because it's a lot of pain on your joints, and it's just not comfortable. Diet. We have a lot of sugar in our foods and fat. So when you look at the labels, that's why it's really important to read labels. One of the sugars that's in a lot of places, high fructose corn syrup. Just not good for you. It's very addictive, very sweet. They put it in our candies and even some things like cheese puffs and those kind of stuff. They put sugars in them. Fat is added to a lot of foods. Portion sizes. So if you realize when you go to restaurants how the foods, people are addicted to them. They want to eat them because they are highly fat. The portion sizes are large. Most times, some restaurant meals can feed, one portion can feed two people. Stress and emotion is also part of this obesity and diabetes link. When people are stressed or they have defect in their emotional stability, they tend to want to eat more comfort food, and those are always the food that are fatty, the foods that are salty. Those are the foods that people want to eat more. Healthcare. Some people just do not have access to good health care. They do not have health insurance, or or even if they have health insurance, they don't always get the best care. And unfortunately, we do have medications that increase weight. So psychotropic medications like medications for depression and bipolar and schizophrenia, some of those medications do increase appetite. And people, when they have to take it, because you have to weigh the risk and the benefit. So the risk is that they may gain weight because of the increased appetite, but the benefit, it will control their emotional stability. So those are some of the links that we have between obesity and diabetes. Our next slide talk about the social influences on obesity and diabetes. So we talk about the large meal portions, and that goes without saying. Easy access to junk foods and high sugary beverages. So, for example, um, people with low economic status, and if they have a number of children in the home, it's cheaper for them to buy these sugary drinks. They're always cheap. So a 2-3 liter of soda can cost under $2, while a gallon of milk is more than that. So when you look at choices that people have to make, it all depends on your social status in life. Um, Taste bud adaptation to high calorie foods. So our nation has children want these foods. Sometimes they don't even want the foods that parents fix at home. They want to have the fast food because their taste bud is more acquainted with that. Then, of course, the sedentary lifestyle. Um, we use elevators. We use drive-throughs. We use labor-saving devices. So let's pick apart some of those. Elevators. How many people prefer to take the stairs than the elevator? So we choose the elevators. We do drive through, even though you could park your car and you could actually walk into the restaurant and order your food. You go through the drive through that burns no energy, absolutely no energy. Labor saving devices. I remember growing up, we didn't have washer and dryer. We had to wash our clothes by hand and put them on the line to dry. And then you take them down, iron them, or hang them up or fold them. But now we have our washer and dryer right beside us. And we drop them right in and we dry them next. And it's right in the same space. So all these labor saving devices, even though it's good for us because we want to have the things done quickly, but it has also taken away from our ability to burn a little bit more calorie. Automobiles, yes, we drive everywhere. Here in Maryland, where I live, there are so many places are not really close to each other. So people tend to drive a lot here. Even sometimes if you're not going very far, it's easier to just jump in your car. While people in New York, they probably take more buses and trains because it's just set up like that. So automobiles, these are all social influences on obesity and diabetes. So the modernization of our lifestyle has really increased our risk of developing these diseases. Our energy expenditure is very low for most people, and this is a recipe for weight gain, which leads to these diseases. The question is, next slide, is it possible to prevent these diseases? Am I doomed to be a diabetic? am I doomed to be obese? The answer is no. We're not doomed to have these diseases. So I'll share a little of my own story. That's in my book, Sugar Burst: the Diabetes Dilemma. In February of 2011, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes with an A1C of 6.5. And of course I was just so surprised because even though I've been overweight all my life, but I've always exercised, watch what I eat, da 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 da. The doctor said, well, it goes, with your age, and you got to do more. So that was a devastating diagnosis for me. This February coming, that was 10 years ago. And thank God I was able to be more aware of what I was eating. Um, you know, Trying to be more faithful in exercising, and was able to get my A1C down into the fives. My physician said to me this past August on my physical, she said, Miss Anderson, if you continue to exercise and lose a few more pounds, you are most likely guaranteed not to become a diabetic. And that was almost 10 years ago. So you can use awareness. And this is what we're doing here, teaching you to be aware of what you can do. You can take the treatment of your health in your own hands. It's very difficult. It is not hard. So when you look at your tiny friends who never gain a pound, and you're the ones who always gain in the pound, it's not easy. But you have to try. Sometimes it takes 10, 100 tries, but you have to try. So educating yourself, first of all, is making sure you're going to your physicians if you have any sort of abnormality in your health, if you have a history of obesity or severe or being overweight, if your doctor ever tell you that you were pre-diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, if your doctor ever say your cholesterol is high. So you need to ask for these information when you go to your physician. Make sure they give you a copy of your labs, because that is really important for you to be able to track your health. Adapting a healthier eating lifestyle, and that is not it's easier said than done to adapt a healthier eating lifestyle, because I know that all of us like the things that we like to eat. And of course, being physically active. Physical activity burns calories, and it also helps you to it improves your body's response to insulin. So that's one of the reasons why they encourage exercise, because once you do exercise, it improves how your body responds to insulin. Our next one is the role of diet in managing obesity and diabetes. There's a saying, you are what you eat, is appropriate in helping us to promote good health. So we all know that everybody likes certain foods. I know I'm from Jamaica, and every Jamaican food I love. My sister, she don't even she likes her food too. We have different things that we all like. My niece like what she likes, but meal portions and healthier food choices can help us with our eating. Developing a healthier lifestyle is crucial for the management of obesity and diabetes. Changing the way how we eat and drink will help us to achieve and maintain healthier eating habits. Keep in mind, a registered dietitian can help you understand your diet needs. So it's always good to have a nutritional professional to help you. They can help you to identify foods that affect your sugar. So one of the interesting thing about diabetes is that our sugars are affected by different people. Sorry, by different foods. So for example, there are some people who cannot eat banana, and banana is a fruit. And there are some people who can't tolerate any kind of juices. But your doctor, if you have a dietitian, she's going to help you to track your food intake with your blood sugars. So that way you can know what foods work for you. It also help you to balance food with medications and activity. So, for example, if you say, for example, you're diabetic and you're being treated and you have medications or insulin, your registered dietitian will help you to adjust your medication with your activity, because for sure when you start reducing your when you start exercising, sometimes your sugars start to go down. The dietitian will also help you to read your food labels and understand it, because food labels tells you, shows you what is a portion, and then it also tells you how many calories, how much sugar, and how much salt is in the portion, in that portion. It also help you, it also help you to plan your meals, and it helps you with eating out. So eating out is a struggle for some people because they're always eating out and you're not quite sure what you should eat. So they can help you plan around that. If you have special events, like if you're going to a wedding or something, a celebratory party, or even vacation, they can help you plan your meals. They can help you include foreign foods, ethnic foods. So one of the things that I did with the book that I wrote on diabetes was to include the foods from the Caribbean in the food exchange list, because if you are from another country, then you kind of want to eat the foods that you like. So dietitian can help you with that. They can also help you to find easy to use cookbooks that will help you manage your diet, and how to make food substitution. So not everybody like chicken breast. I know I don't. I eat it, but not everybody like it. But they can help you to substitute foods that will give you, that is good for your health. Is there a diet that is best for losing weight? And this is a question. But any diet can work to help with weight loss and in the management of diabetes, as long as it creates negative energy. So the diet industry has really made billions of dollars off overweight people, obese people, and people with diseases like diabetes. It's easy to say it is to create negative energy balance, but it is very difficult to stay on a calorie restriction for a long time. So what we encourage is diet lifestyle change, which promotes slow, steady change in food choices. So people will go on diet where they eliminate foods. You know those diets where they eliminate whole food groups and tell you only eat this and eat that. You can only do that for a short time, because you're always, as humans, we're always gonna go back to what we are used to. So the diet lifestyle change is much better, because what you do is slowly change how you eat. I give you examples. So for example, if you love fried chicken and fried chicken is your thing, so we're not going to tell you don't eat fried chicken. What we're going to say, how about you prepare it a different way? So we would look for a recipe that will show you how to prepare it a different way. Okay. Suppose you love macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese tend to be a high fat, high calorie food. And we will say to you, um, you may, we're not going to stop you from eating the macaroni and cheese, but let us find a lower fat cheese or use a lower protein, use a lower protein cheese, that not lower protein, lower fat cheese to create to create how would you say it now, a healthier food choice, which may help you eat healthier. So these are when we say lifestyle changes, things that you can deal with, things that you can consider and use. When you jump on a diet that cuts out everything, your chances of getting off it is so much quicker than staying on a diet lifestyle change. So the goal is always not to run for that 10-pound weight loss in the first week, but it's always to go at a 1 to 2 pound weight loss per week, which is more sustainable. Now, for information, we will not be discussing, but just to mention, in severe cases of obesity, weight loss surgery is used to achieve and maintain a healthier body weight. We're not going to talk about it on this session because it's difficult and challenging. But in severe cases, that has been used to help people with their weight loss. Physical activity. Physical activity and exercise are slightly different. Being physically active is how you go about your daily life. Exercise is a specific physical example. Example, jogging or running. Physical activity is, for example, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. So knowing the difference between a physically active life and exercise are different. So you can make a lifestyle change that you're not going to park your car right in front of where you want to go in the parking lot. You're going to park a little further down the road and walk. Or I'm going to take the 2 flights of stairs up to my office every day and down instead of taking the elevator. So that is being physically active. Or you may have a outside garden that you want to, plant some cucumbers or tomatoes or something that will give you some more physical activity. Be active. So let us look at some of the 10, we're going to look at 10 benefits of being active. It improves your blood glucose. We talk about that. It lowers blood pressure. It improves your blood fats, that's your triglycerides, and your cholesterol. It helps you to take less insulin or diabetes pills, and in some case, you may be able to get off them. It helps you to lose weight and keep it off. It lowers risk for other health problems. Gain more energy and you sleep better. It relieves stress, builds stronger bones and muscles, and helps you to be more flexible. So those are the benefits, some of the benefits of being physically active. So the last part of our presentation is about the coronavirus. And I decided to add this little bit after I had turned in the PowerPoint because the coronavirus has had such a devastating effect upon people with obesity and diabetes. So let us talk a little bit about it, and I'm sure most people do know a lot about coronavirus. It's been around, at least 7 months. So the coronaviruses are a type of virus. There are many different kinds, including the one that caused the common cold. So we know about that. COVID-19 is the one we are dealing with now. It's a newly discovered coronavirus called the SARS-CoV-2. It is believed that the virus spreads mainly from person to person, primarily through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes. So we know that because that is why we are on Zoom, because we were not able to be in Stamford, Connecticut for annual ladies retreat. Spreading is most likely to occur when people are in close contact. The incubation period is estimated to be 2 days after infection and as late as 14 days after infection. This is the period when infected people can infect others, even when there are no symptoms. Keep in mind that the time frame may vary. So this is a new virus. The scientists, the experts, they don't know everything about this virus, but they're working hard to get as much information out as possible. Seniors and people with chronic underlying medical conditions such as obesity, diabetes, heart and lung diseases appear to be at higher risk for developing complications from COVID-19. People are infected different ways. They manifest this sickness in different ways. Some symptoms include fevers or chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle and body aches, headaches, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea, and vomiting. Obesity, metabolic syndrome tied to risk of infection. So metabolic syndrome, if you have never heard the term, is a combination of obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and or abnormal cholesterol that increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. It is believed that underlying inflammation that is seen with metabolic syndrome may be the reason behind the severe cases. So to explain this in a nutshell, everybody know what inflammation is. If you ever get a cut on your hands or knee, and you see that it the crust comes over the cut and form over it to try to heal it. So when you get any kind of injury to your body, inflammation is the response from our immune system that is triggered to heal that area. Now, what scientists believe is that, and people who research this, is that obesity and diabetes create inflammation inside our bodies because these abnormal high sugars, the high visceral fats around our organs, probably in a way fool our immune system. And they think that our body is under attack because these are not natural occurrences. So that is what, in a nutshell, what they believe inflammation is. So I just want to review, let's see the time here. I just want to review 3 studies that were done recently since COVID. And this one was reported in the Diabetes Care magazine, which is a magazine for people and with diabetes and caregivers. And what they found out is people with the metabolic syndrome were 5 times more likely than their peers to require intensive care and ventilator or experience distress, and 3.4 times more likely to die from their infection. So what they look at, what they did was in New Orleans, 287 coronavirus patients were hospitalized in 2 New Orleans hospitals from March 30 to April 5th. Of the 287 patients, 188, which is 60%, had metabolic syndrome. Compared with their peers, a higher rate of patients with metabolic syndrome required care in the intensive care. 56% versus 24%. So 56% of patients with the metabolic syndrome has compared to 24% of people who were of normal weight and didn't have those diseases. They needed ventilator. 48% versus 18% develop acute respiratory distress, and 37% versus 11% and died 26 versus 10. So you can see it's almost double what happens to you if you have metabolic syndrome or if you were severely obese or have diabetes, that you're most likely to have more severe complications from COVID-19. In another study that was done in China, a systematic review and meta-analysis of 75 Chinese and English language studies on obesity and COVID-19 found that people were at 1.5 times higher of coronavirus infection than non-obese peers. 2 times more likely to be hospitalized for their infections, 1.7 times more likely to be admitted to the ICU, and 1.5 times more likely to die of the virus. So what the researchers said, the obesity-induced metabolic changes such as inflammation and impaired ability to use glucose can interfere with your body's ability to fight infections. So even without COVID-19, we also know that people who have metabolic syndrome, severe obesity, and diabetes, even were more susceptible to the annual flu and other infections that may turn up. So what we need to understand, fighting obesity and diabetes is really crucial for our health and for our long-term survival. So as we come to the end of this presentation, we're going to open up now. I'm going to check the chat box to see if we have any questions. I so much thank you for listening to our presentation and look forward to hear if we have any questions. Hi, Yana. Oh, hello. I'm waiting to see if we have any questions here. Let's see.
Hi, Sister Violet. Sorry about that. I was speaking to you and it was
I wasn't hearing.
I was
Yeah,
I was mute. I'm so sorry, technology.
that's okay. Do we have any questions that you want to?
We see there's more so dialogue on Facebook, a lot
Okay.
of interaction with the information that you have given to us. There's a lot of thank yous, great presentations. There's so much praise going on in the comments on Facebook. So I really thank you so much for this presentation. We'll just give Facebook just a few seconds because there's a little delay.
Okay. So
If you have any questions. Go ahead.
I just want to thank everyone for participating. And thank you, Sister Yana, for assisting me today. And it was a pleasure. And I will close with this. Remember, wear your mask, 6 feet social distancing, wash your hands when you can, and when you can't, use the sanitizer, and avoid crowded areas. May God bless each and every one of you. It was indeed a pleasure serving the Northeast region another time. God bless you.
God bless you, Sister Violet. We actually have a few questions coming in now.
Oh,
All right, so before
that
we
is
have a few minutes to answer questions. So,
oh,
one question says, "How does one control their A1C from 7.2 to a 6?"
okay. So A1C, it tells how your blood sugar has been operating over a period of time, or usually around 3 months, and it shows how much the glucose level attaches to your hemoglobin. So, in order to get your A1C down, there are two things you have to do. You have to watch your intake of sugars and carbohydrates. So you want to eat a diet that is rich in fiber and in the right portions. And of course, exercise takes down A1C. Limiting intakes of juices and lots of fruits will also help. Lean meats, lower fat milks if you drink milk, and of course, lower carbohydrate, what we call complex carbohydrate. That is foods that are more difficult to break down. So brown rice instead of white rice, or brown bread, wheat bread instead of white bread. It's just those choices, and of course, lots of low fat vegetables. I
Beautiful.
hope that answers your question.
All right. So our second question, it says, "How come size 8 people can end up with diabetes and be overweight and other people may not?"
Okay, so we did talk about the genetic component. So some people have a genetic component to diabetes. And remember, sizes don't always count. Some people don't eat healthy, but they have a high metabolic rate, so they don't put the weight on. Also, low body weight can also mean diabetes, because if you develop, remember, diabetes occurs from impairments in how your body uses the insulin. So you may be small, but you may have a defect in your insulin production. One thing that I didn't mention is that people with type 1 diabetes are thin. Type 2 diabetes are usually the people who tend to be on the heavier side. So I don't know if that person has type 1 diabetes, which is usually a genetic portion of the disease, and they also believe that there is some defect in the body's immune function. So if it's a type 1 diabetic, they usually are very thin.
Beautiful. Next question. Next question. How often should you do a A1C test in a year?
Okay, so A1Cs, my doctor for me, she does mine twice a year. So usually people who are full-blown diabetics, who may be severely overweight or obese and who don't control their diabetes, their doctors usually do theirs every 3 months. But if you are on what they call they use the term pre-diabetes. A lot of people don't like to use that term. They believe that you're either diabetic or you're not. So, but if you have what is called impaired glucose tolerance, then meaning your Sugars, they're not really high to be a diabetic, but they are not normal. Your doctor may do that twice a year. So it all depends on your physician.
Thank you so much, Sister Violet. One more question, and then we'll be concluding today's workshop. Which type of diabetes is, I guess, worse, type 1 or type 2?
I don't think there's a worse in diabetes because what happened is that they both destroy your internal, affect your organs. But what I can say, the difference between the two. So type 1, a person who is type 1, their body do not make any insulin at all. So all their insulin come from outside, has to be injected. While type 2 is usually because of the age or the obesity, and that diabetes you can control it better, especially if you're able to lose weight, be do the exercise. You're able to probably get on less medication or even don't take any medication. While a type 1 diabetic don't have that luxury, they're going to be on insulin for life. So that's the major difference. I don't know if you could ever choose which one is worse or what, but I would say it's usually in children, the type 1, and the children that I've known over the years with type 1 diabetes, it has been very difficult for the parents and them to control it because children don't understand. When they're in school and they see their children eating candies and drinking soda pops, they can't have it, and they shouldn't have it. We should say, but they do have it, and they get very sick. So none of them is better, but they are managed differently.
Thank you so much, Sister Violet. This session was so informative. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And ladies and gents that's been out there listening, Sister Violet, do you have information or contact that if they have any more questions or anything, they can contact you?
They can messenger me on Facebook under my name.
Beautiful. So if you have any other additional questions for Sister Violet, you can go ahead and message her on Facebook Messenger, and I'm pretty sure she'll be very quick to get back to you. Thank you again, Sister Violet.
Thank you so much, my dear, and God bless you. You all looking forward to see y'all later at the
Yes,
last session. Praise
absolutely. We
God.
look forward to seeing everyone later at 6 p.m. We will see you at 6 p.m. Everyone, God bless you. Go eat dinner, go rest, and we'll see you at 6 p.m. sharp tonight. God bless.